Okay, so let's get started. Welcome to the Digital Storytelling Workshop organized by American Center Tashkent. This month, we are going to tackle a very important topic. We are going to create a digital story on the topic of language learning. So you will be highlighting the importance of language learning and we will be learning new aspects of creating digital stories. So I say you all welcome. I think all our participants are here now. We can get started. First of all, let's test. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you well.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. So then we can get started. Hello, Ms. Ivanosov. We are really happy to see you back here. Well, and
Hello.
evening. Okay, well, and we say welcome to our new participants. We have lots of new participants today for our new topic. So let's get started then. Okay, in our today's workshop, we will first of all discuss the importance of language learning, and then using the basic ideas that we have discussed, we will start developing a foundation for our next digital story. Okay, now the very first question I would like to ask all of you is why should you learn a foreign language? Especially so here, almost all our participants share something in common. We are from developing countries. So what is the real importance of learning a foreign language? Here, I can list you three aspects of learning a foreign language. So in the first place, it's in order to increase employment potential. Then it's to enhance your enjoyments in life. Last but not least, to express yourself. In the chat, you can share your ideas of why learning a foreign language is important for you. It's very important to put these ideas down because later you will be using these ideas in your digital stories. Your task will be to persuade your audience to learn a language, to make them love the process of learning a language. As far as most of our language teachers, for us, this topic will be even of special importance because we will have to motivate our learners to learn a foreign language. To do so well, you have to firstly know yourself why we should learn a foreign language. In the chat, you can, of course, share some of the ideas that you have. We are getting ideas like connecting to the global development and experiencing new culture. Exactly, that's one of the important reasons why people start learning languages. Okay, to build bridges among nations, among countries, sure. Okay, well, we are getting really interesting ideas here. Nice that you are sharing your ideas. Yes, there are many important reasons to learn a language. And here, in the first place, we have to help our learners to identify the very reason they would like to learn a foreign language. Sometimes our students feel discouraged to learn a foreign language. The reason is they are mostly pushed by their parents or curriculum to learn a language. We should help them to develop a reason. They should see what they can achieve by learning a foreign language. For example, a student who can imagine himself clearly in a foreign country studying at a high-ranking university will do better during the classes than a student who has no idea why he or she is learning a language. That's why, in the first place, you have to answer to the question yourself. So why do you think you should learn a foreign language? So what can it give you? What kind of benefits can you get from learning a foreign language? And this very basic idea will serve as the base of your digital story that you are going to create this month. Okay, to connect with the world, one of the ideas that Laura is suggesting. Exactly, so we are a part of the huge world. In our global world, we cannot exist separately, right? So to realize your dreams, of course, many people have dreams and to realize them, language can be a very good means for you. Thank you for your ideas. I'm sure that later you will put down these ideas for yourself and think about these ideas. So which ones are really important and which ones can match the ideas of your learners so that you can create a digital story that will motivate your students to learn a foreign language. Now, according to the research, there are top languages to learn. So according to the number of learners, actually, after English language, of course, the Mandarin Chinese is in the first place. Okay, we have a suggestion from Abdurrahim to contribute to the global challenges, issues, or problems. Of course, becoming a global citizen. That's a very huge reason to learn a language. Thank you for your suggestion. Now, people are learning many different languages, like Chinese, Arabic, Spanish, Japanese, Russian, and etc. So, what are the top languages to learn? So, in the first place, that's English, because English becomes the language of communication among nations, and it has taken the role of important political, economical, and cultural language. So if you know English very well, you can travel to any country and get your way, right? But people learn many different languages, less famous or less widely used languages with other reasons. So, what can be the reason of learning a language that's not a language of widespread communication? For example, the Urdu language or the let's see, regional dialects of Spanish or Indonesian language. I have a friend who is learning Indonesian. So, as far as we know, Indonesian is not widely spoken in the world. It's the middle language of Indonesia, and in Indonesia, people speak English parallel to Indonesian. So, what are the What are the reasons why people learn other languages? So, learning a English language has a huge motivation behind, and nowadays, learners of English can motivate themselves because they have clear goals. But sometimes, if you'd like to motivate your students to learn other languages, let's say less widely known languages. So what can be the motivation behind that? How can you encourage your students to learn this kind of languages? So think about this also, please. Later you can share your ideas in our group or now in the chat. Okay, so someone who is interested in history or someone who has relatives or friends can learn those languages. A very good idea put forward by Tildora. That's right. So that can be the language of history that can connect the relatives living in foreign of the world and etc. Now, well, any language can be learned if you devote enough time. I'm sure that here everyone sitting with us and joining our workshop has their own journey of learning English language. Now we are learning, now we are using this language as the language of instruction in our workshop. But I'm sure that all of us have taken a long journey of learning a language before we arrived here, right? So now, how did you motivate yourself during the process of learning English language? What was your motivation to keep going? I'm sure that in order to use complicated phrases, in order to use complex structures, and to be able to understand native speech, follow up, and communicate with the natives, and of course, to get high scores in language tests, you should have you should have done a lot. You should have had a very difficult journey, I'm sure. Now I'd like you to share your journey. So how was it? How was what was the motivation behind your learning? How did you motivate yourself to keep learning? We have an opinion here saying Tajik students learn Russian to immigrate, work, and live and study because this country is the most accessible and easy travel. Very good. They have very practical reasons to learn Russian language, for example, right? A very good idea. Thank you for sharing it with us. Now, reflecting back to your own process of language learning, can you think of the moments that you needed motivation and you motivated yourself? What was the motivation? The one thing that encouraged you to go on. So, what encouraged you to learn this language in full? You can reflect back to this question anytime and write down your answers. Later, you will be using your own learning process, your own motivation as a tool in your digital story. When you are creating a digital story, encouraging your learners to learn a foreign language, you are getting some more ideas. Miss Ibonusa is saying that she participated in essay writing contest, and when her essay was selected, she got motivated. Good. Achievements can be really high motivation. So achievements will make you to go and achieve even more levels. So please share it later in our chat so that others will also develop ideas on what motivates students to learn a foreign language. Okay, life and job opportunities, study opportunities, communicating with expats, and good, you already have many practical reasons and practical motivations. And while it's great, now reflect back to the time you started learning a language. So, what do you think about young people? So, young people who have not clear goals yet, who haven't developed any clear aims in life, what can be a motivation for them? Well, exchange students, they motivate others to learn English very good. So, actually, you have a point. This kind of workshops, gatherings, debate clubs organized by exchange students or alumni will also serve as a motivation to learn a language. Okay. Now, we say welcome again to our new participants. We are still having people who are joining our workshop today, and thank you for your joining us. Thank you for taking time. Now, after all your studies and as a reward for your effort, you can take a long vacation to the country of your language to test out your skills. That would be the most amazing part. Actually, when you create a digital story, you can use this moment as a culmination. So, as you remember from our previous workshops, digital storytelling process follows certain steps. So, one of the steps was culmination or resolution. So, that's the actually highlighted point in our digital story. So after all this effort, hard work that you show in your story, you can show this long vacation or study time or experience with the country of the language you are learning to test out your skills. You can put it as the resolution part in your digital story. That's just one suggestion. Now, we will start on making a digital story. For this topic, we have really lots of new participants. That's why we'll start everything from the beginning. I will be explaining you how we put an idea into digital stories. How do we start developing our ideas, writing our narratives, and how do we get through the process? Okay, and here okay, we are still getting suggestions on the motivations. It's like sharing about your life and experience you have had abroad with students and comparing their life in Tajikistan. That can be a really good motivation, right? People really want to have a good life. They really want to have diversity of experiences, and sharing these experiences that you had abroad can serve as a motivation for your peers. Thank you. Now, all these reasons that you have suggested now, all the motivations that you felt as a learner, and all the motivations your learners have can serve as the basic idea of this digital story. We are going to create a digital story which will highlight the, let's say, advantages of language learning. Basically, this story should show your students that Language learning is passport to the globe. So when you learn a language, you open new doors. You step out and you can experience a different world. The main idea behind this month's story is basically this. So how do we get through it? First of all, in order to create a digital story, we follow 8 steps. So in 8 workshops, we will be able to create a digital story. Each workshop will take one step at a time. And I'm sure that even if the process seems to be complicated, at times you will get through it because we will learn one thing at a time, and each workshop we will discuss on one step, and eventually you will be able to create your digital story from scratch. So, in the first place, we will develop an idea. This is what we are doing in our today's workshop. We are getting ideas. We are discussing this topic. We are getting the basic elements of narration. So, what kind of ideas drive this digital story? So, what can serve as a motivation to learn a language? How can we create this kind of digital story that makes learners motivated to learn a language? So, developing idea is really important because digital stories are nothing but ideas. So, these are the ideas put in a digital form with images, background music, and other elements. Digital storytelling and all its processes to serve spread ideas. So it's really important. It's essential to develop an idea before you start the other steps. Then, after you have a clear idea in mind, after you know what you are going to tell, what your basic message is, we can go to the step 2. But before going to the step 2 or planning part, I really suggest you writing down this idea and putting it right in front of your eyes so that in your digital story, nothing in the narration, no text enters that doesn't have relation to this idea. So once you have identified your central idea, please try to write it down in 4 words and put it somewhere near to your computer. So when you are developing a digital story, everything should run around this idea. Digital stories are usually very short, and you should not include very wide ideas. You should stick to one idea and you should give supporting evidence for this idea. So today, try to think about the motivation, your own motivation, for example. What served as motivation for you when you were learning a language? So once you have got this motivation, once you have got this idea, then you can step ahead and plan your digital story. After we have a clear plan, we can start outlining and scripting as usual. So outlining is basically creating the first sketch of your narrative. After that, we will gather necessary elements like images, music, videos, the software programs we are going to use. Then we will storyboard all the information we have. Storyboard means that you have already developed um, a script for your digital story and you are in halfway. So after you have shared your storyboards with each other and you have got reviews on them, you can step ahead and start filming and recording process. This process is really exciting. We will suggest you wide variety of software programs, and using these programs and using certain tools, you will be able to test your, let's see, talents. And that's basically you explore and you create, and this is the amazing part of digital story creation. So once you have filmed and recorded your digital story, we will have final touch and we will finish up our story. So here the digital story does not end. The very reason we have been organizing this workshop is to publish and share our stories so that the stories we have inside, the important ideas we are having, should be shared and we should help other people who are struggling on the same questions like us. So, what kind of doors can language learning open? I'm sure that most of you have been very successful in your lives. You have maybe traveled to a foreign country learning a language. Maybe you have been able to get your education from abroad. Maybe you have been able to travel to your dream destination. So, whatever is your, let's say, your story of learning a language, you can share that so that others will get motivation from your story. So basically, this is your story. We publish it on our American Center Tashkent YouTube channel, and we will get reviews, likes, and suggestions. After that, we will gather for review. We will reflect on our stories. We will discuss how many likes we got and what were the strong points of this digital story and what kind of weaknesses we had. And next time when we have a digital story in mind, what things we have learned. So basically, this is learning that happens. We are working together. So we work, we reflect, we give each other ideas, we motivate each other, and I'm sure that at the end of this month we will create amazing stories reflecting back to our language learning process. Now, we are today starting on step 1. We are going to develop ideas. You have already given many ideas. Yes, sure, I can share the link by the end of the webinar. Um, well, developing ideas is the central part of digital storytelling because ideas serves as the foundation for digital stories. So develop your idea. How would you like to tell your story of learning English language, for example? So what was your motivation? What kind of hard work you had, or what kind of awkward situations you have experienced? And then what was this final moment of glory? So what was this overall achievement? What was the one moment that you felt, I have achieved this? So you should be able to put it all in the storyboard and add it all to digital story. So once others watch that, they will also stay motivated and they will get motivation from your experience. So how do we develop ideas? Just like previous times, we can use brainstorming or drawing our ideas, listening, reading, and researching for topics, scanning lists, photos, and reflecting back on our personal knowledge, experience, and journeys. We can talk with our friends, family, teachers, and co-workers on this idea. So during the workshop, many of you have suggested very good ideas on the motivation of language learning. I'm sure later in our Telegram channel, you can share your own experience of learning a language, or you may even start just writing a small text about your journey of learning a language. When did you start? How did you start? And etc. Also, you can research the internet. You can read articles on the motivation of learning a language, processes of learning a language, and etc. After that, all the important ideas you got, we will start brainstorming or brain mapping. For brainstorming, I again recommend you the software that we have been using since the beginning of our workshop. It's really interesting, and what's great about this um, software is you can share your brainstorms with other participants. So it's Mind Map. I will send the link for the Mind Map app at the end of the workshop. So you can create your accounts or you can log into your account, as many of you already have created accounts there, and you can start mind mapping. If you need some tutorial on mind mapping, you can watch our previous workshops on mind mapping, and there we have explained in detail how you can register for mindmap.com, how you can start mind mapping, putting your main idea in the center. So these are the basic ways of developing an idea. Once you have developed an idea, I really recommend you to ask yourself the following questions about your idea. First of all, what is your connection to this topic? As this is your story, it's really important to find out why it's important to you, why you are connected to this topic. Maybe you have achieved a very, let's say, the very goal that you have been streaming for by learning a language. Maybe it was always hard for you to learn a language and maybe you are still struggling. So, whatever your connection is, trying to find out that you have inner connection to this topic so that your story will be realistic. Next question to ask is it motivating to an audience? So once you share your idea, once you put your idea into the form of a digital story, will it motivate the audience to take steps, to stay motivated when learning a language? Will it give them motivation? Is it relatable? Which means, can others relate to this? Can others feel themselves in your shoes and understand your point of view? Next question to ask is, can you tell the story in just a few minutes? As I have been repeating from the very beginning of our workshop, ideal digital stories stick to the time frame of 2-3 minutes. So if you can tell it in 3 minutes, it means that you have achieved your goal. So you have skills to tell a basic idea in a very correct format. So anything more than this, when audience is watching your story, they will lose motivation or they will lose focus, and actually it's not recommended to make digital stories long. The shorter is the digital story, the better. So is it possible to be put in a few minutes story? Then, what sort of work you need in order to be able to tell this story? So, can you spare some time to do background research, gather details? Do you have I, tools like software programs, computer programs to create digital stories? And then, is there a supporting material? So, photos, data, video that you can use. So, regarding the last question, in our coming workshops, I will be giving you links to the websites that provide free copyright-free photos, videos, and music, but maybe you have some personal items that you would like to add to your story. So think of this as well. Then now that's going to be your turn. So basically, you will write down your ideas and then ask yourselves these questions. So is it motivating? Is it relatable? So what sort of preparation you need? I really want you to think about the ideas you would like to put in your digital story and then ask these questions. So test your ideas against the criteria of digital stories so that you will have a clear map in mind. Okay, time management, right, as the bonus is saying, time management is really important here. So maybe you need to work on your time management skills. So whatever is it, try to put it. If you would like to share it with others, you can later send it to our Telegram group and others will reflect on your let's say on your answers. Like maybe you will post a message like, hi, I'm going to create a digital story about my own process of language learning. So I'm going to make a resolution part of myself studying in the US, and then I'm sure that it will be motivating. So it's relatable because most students share this kind of dreams and etc. So you can just post a small message with your basic idea tested against these questions. Then we will reflect on this. We will guide your ideas, and then you will have a central, tested, ready idea to be served as a foundation for your digital story. Now, in our coming workshop, we will start planning our digital story. But if you have already a clear message in mind, and if you are ready to plan, I will explain you this process as well, because some of our participants are really quick. They can already start on the planning part. So if you are one of them, you can develop a plan right away. Once you have an idea for a story, you can develop a plan to help organize both your thoughts and resources. So think about how you would like to tell your story and the people that would benefit most from hearing it. So you have to have an audience in mind when you tell the story. Set goals that connect with your storytelling process. But remember, the main goal is to share your experience of learning a language here in our case. So the main thing is to share your story. It should be meaningful to you in the first place. There are some helpful first steps. First of all, set a timeline, just like Ms. Bonosoy told us, time management here is really critical. So try to put everything in 3 minutes. Try to tell yourself this story, first of all, in the form of oral story in 3 minutes, if you can. Then create check-ins and track your progress. So for example, you have now 1 week to plan everything or to mind map your ideas and come up with your basic ideas. So just put a checklist for yourself and do some research, talk with others and talk with your students, for example, ask them questions like what motivates them to learn a language and come up with ideas. The next important thing is defining the purpose. Why do people share personal stories? Think about the time when you were inspired by someone's story. So, what made the story unique? How did it make you feel? So, what was the message? Reflect on what you hope to achieve by sharing your story and frame your message to answer questions like the ones mentioned above. For example, what impact might your story have on other people? What makes your story unique? Are you trying to inform someone or are you trying to convince people? Or maybe there is a question for your audience. So think about other meaningful stories and the purposes they serve. So try to identify your purpose of serving, purpose of creating this digital story. Are you going to motivate others? Are you going to tell your story? Are you going to show the audience that hard work will pay off? So you should have a clear purpose in mind. Then, what do you hope your audience will do, think, or feel after watching your video? You should always have in mind what kind of result you will have after you share your digital story. For example, do you want people to sign up for an activity or join a group? Or do you want them to seek services or help? Would you like people to contact you about your story? Or do you want others to share your story in a certain way? Or maybe you just want to inspire them on their own journey. Whatever is it, identify your purpose. So our today's workshop is running the end. I'm sure that here throughout the region, it's the holy month of Ramadan, and some of our participants will be heading off for their dinner time. That's why I will not take much of your time. So let me explain your tasks for the next workshop. Please develop an idea in the first place. So what is your idea for this topic, language learning? What kind of digital story would you like to create? And then based on your idea, develop a plan. How will it start? How will it end? Who will your target audience be? These are the basic things to keep in mind when you plan your digital story. And then define your purpose. So why are you telling this story? What is your purpose of telling this story? Once you have everything every answer for all these questions that I have asked about. You can share it with us so that we will reflect on each other's answers and we will learn from each other. So this is basically it for today. Thank you everyone for joining us. As I can see here, We have really lots of participants today, and I'm very happy to see this new participants. I say you welcome. I'm sure that stay you will stay with us till the end of our workshop, and you will be learning a lot with us, and we will be learning a lot from your experiences. As I have been always telling, digital storytelling is it's a two-way journey. So it's not about teaching, it's about learning from our experiences. Here everyone is a teacher, here everyone learn from each other's experiences based on digital stories. So keep telling your stories. If you have any questions, if you would like to give some suggestions, you can contact me on Telegram. You can email me anytime. So I will be more than happy to discuss your suggestions or questions. So I will be seeing you next time. Thank you for joining us one more time. Have a very nice weekend ahead. And thank you once more for joining us.
Thank you very much, Nargisa. It was interesting topic. So for the next Friday, our homework will be to think about our topic. Yes, what
Yes,
will
sure.
be the time
Exactly.
hours
Right.
narrative?
So you can go ahead and start on planning as well if you have a clear idea in mind. So basically finding your central idea, planning, and finding your purpose of telling the story. And then
Yeah,
we will
I
go.
have a very good story.
Okay, your stories always motivate others. You always
Thank
have
you.
good stories, actually. Thank you. Thank you for being with us. So you guys all take care.
Thank you. Thank you
See you
so
next
much. Looking
time.
forward for the next Friday.
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dodora, for
Thank you.
joining us. So,
Thank you.
Thank you, dear
Take
Taji.
care of yourself.
okay, you guys all take
Mhm.
care.
Yeah, take care.
Thank you.